Hey traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Monday, July 8th. So we had the averages all finished in the red today. There wasn't really that much of a range to trade, so kind of a sleepy summer Monday. We had S&P finish down just over a 0.5%, so 55 basis points. The Qs finished down 70 basis points, and IWM was the laggard of the day, finished down 95 basis points, just around 1%. So might as well go through these to see if there's anything that's really changed. Other than I think S&P got close to Friday's low where we were about 10:40 in the morning, but really didn't get down there. We saw a couple of red bars there and right around the open, and that was pretty much it for the day. It was a super tight range. So does this change the picture at all for S&P? No. We're just kind of retracing what was it, Thursday's move in the market. So we're gonna be coming back and kind of push testing this top of value 2963. I think that's the level to watch. So just remember that 2963 for a second. Yeah, I don't think there's anything 2964, 2965. So I think this would be a good place to think about like adding a little bit more risk. And kind of what I'm doing is, obviously watching option activity and just noting the aggressiveness. And I'll tell you, it seems like there was some call buying in there today. It just wasn't very, just not enough to really move the overall market. But it does seem like even though the market didn't do anything, didn't recover, didn't have a rebound at the end of the day. It does seem like there's more of an appetite when we're down on the day, and I will go through some of today's call buying. So that's where we are. S&P, just call it 2963, 2961. You've got support on multiple time frames. So if we happen to start lower on the day, now I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow, but if we happen to start lower on the day, I think we've got some good support to trade against. So maybe a little bit of a better setup for tomorrow. The Qs, they actually, let me just bring up the 5 minute bar just to see what that looked like today. Slight move there into the close, but we just didn't have the power to close on the highs today. Also, we actually try to get into value on the 5 minute bar a little bit there a couple times at the end of the day. So again, down 70 basis points the Qs were, but I don't see anything really here either breaching. We're kind of closer to the top. Oops, closer to the top of value for the Qs, and we'll need to see that hold. All right, we'll just zoom in here. We're kind of right at the top of value, so not that much more wiggle room from the Qs. I would say probably what's the value area for the week here? 188.66, 188.63. So what is that? Basically a little bit less than $1 lower is where you're going to hit some support. IWM looks a little bit different. IWM, we did get to that bottom of value. I would be a little bit, I would be cognizant of, if this breaks here, maybe we could see a little bit further down here. But no follow through from IWM outperforming a touch last week. How does this look on the daily? Also, kind of right into that top of value. We'll zoom in here. Also into the top of value on the daily chart. So this is the value area for the month of July, and we are into there as well, just like the Qs. So S&P can come down a little bit more. Of course, they could all come down a little bit more, but they're kind of breaching support here a little bit there on the daily chart. But I think there's levels to watch on the 1 hour, just as outlined. All right, so again, not the best Monday. A lot of downgrades today. I think that you had a couple things going on overnight that just really kind of didn't set up for a great day today. You had, and I'll go over the positives. There was some really nice moves today if you caught them, but yeah, not only was Apple downgraded, but the semiconductor group was downgraded at D.A. Davidson. The overall market was downgraded by Morgan Stanley. So really tough for the market to kind of fight through all those downgrades. The first thing that I saw this morning when I opened up the upgrade downgrade list that I throw into Slack for members was I think the downgrades were like 3 times as many today. So yeah, sometimes it just doesn't set up for the best trading day. Tomorrow, however, could be a little bit different. Let's just look at some of those names I mentioned. There were some names that kind of caught a little bit of momentum to them. So here's, of course, the averages. We did sink from the lows. The interesting small caps were the weakest, right? They fell the most after the open. Again, this column N here is what the move was after the open, and column AA here is what the overall performance was for the day. But I'm always watching what we do after the open to see if buyers are coming in or if there's just more selling pressure. Interesting, gold and bonds both moved down today. Gold actually really didn't do much. It actually fell there after starting positive on the day. Best performing sectors after the open. Again, if you resort this, it's going to look a little bit different. I think the best performing sector was just outright. I see, yeah, basically retail and home builders perform better, but consumer discretionary. So again, not a lot of areas really performed well after the open. You could see very few versus a lot. XME metals and mining got hit today. In addition to the downgrades that we saw today and some of the negative analyst notes, one of the chemical companies over in Europe, BASF, cut their outlook for the year. So I think they did highlight a little bit about trade tensions in their earnings call. Remember, this was released after the European closed when their markets were closed. So names like Huntsman went down, and a few other chemical names got hit on BASF cutting outlook. So, it kind of makes you think about earnings. We're probably gonna get, I think, my guess is a mixed bag for earnings this season. I think names like BASF and manufacturing names, you could see warnings, earnings warnings. Names that are less sensitive might actually do pretty well, less trade sensitive, right? That don't have to deal with that. But that's why I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be one of those quarters for earnings where some companies are going to be fine and maybe had awesome numbers, and some companies are going to be on the other end of the spectrum. All right. So what else? And then also, I did throw in a trade here at the end of the day. Biotech. We saw some put buying in X. I think it was all three. I think I know it was IBB. Actually, I should have it here, but I think it was. Oh, there we go. Yeah, IBB and XBI, and I think there was also some XLV put buying on Friday. Whenever they start to mention when the politicians start to mention about drug pricing, it's still having an effect. The whole group goes down, healthcare and biotech included. They both go down when they start to talk about drug pricing, which you just don't know. My opinion is if they're actually going to do something that is going to change their businesses, or if it's just a political standpoint. But regardless of actual actions, the two groups, I refer to them as two groups, but there's a lot of overlap. Healthcare and biotech, day two of selling off. I think that, I put on a little bit of trade in XBI, the equally weighted. So why did I do that? Just looking for an overnight trade. I thought after 2 days of a decent sell-off. Also, I see Virgin point of controls, downside Virgin point of controls being taken out. There's one on the 1 hour, and there's one on the 5 minute as well that was taken out. So I'm playing a little bit of looking for reversion trade back. Again, they don't have to do anything great. If they open up on the day 1%, I'll be out. Or at some point, if they are up 1%, I just put on a call position that expires this week. Just something small to have for a trade for tomorrow. To sum this up here, yeah, so there were some things that really did well. The FANG stocks, again, seemed, I keep hearing regulation about these names. Google was the laggard. I think on Friday it was the performed best out of the FANG stocks. But Netflix, that also gave back, was down 1.1%. No rally there. The one name that did pretty well is the one I'm long, Amazon. So up about 0.5%. Hey, it can continue to crawl up like that because I'm in a call spread. I don't have to worry about any major decay in the options because I'm in a call spread, right? I'm not in outright calls. So as they get closer and closer to my upper strike, I get more and more value. And I short, I'm long a near-term strike, short a further out strike. So that kind of minimizes the theta decay. All right, so that was the FANG stocks, and here's the big winner out of this group. Next tier down, I've got Roku, right? And we highlighted, this was one of the names that we highlighted. And this was the watch list I put together for members on Saturday. And sure enough, I have Roku in here. I did not trade it. I would have liked to catch the 5% move in Roku. I think a couple traders in the room traded it, but really nice. That's what we call a trending day. Very nice. Opens up strong, continues to go through. And the thing why I put this on the watch list on Saturday was because Roku got back into value basically over 97. So that gave me the green light. I thought it was a good setup. Again, would have loved to have had that position on today, but just didn't get to add that one. A few other names to go over, and then we'll call it a day. We mentioned Amazon. Yes, out of this bunch, Roku. Software had some really nice bright spots. I'm long Twilio. Is able to take a target in this. That was a setup that we put out, I think, in the beginning of last week. But it looks like several of these names really had some nice strength to it. Shop. There was a positive note out by Shop right before the open this morning. One of our traders caught it in the room, made some money on Shop. Okta, this is a name that we went over last week. Also very strong. That was also should be in here as a software name that I thought could do well this week. So we caught a bunch of these. TTD, I did establish a trade in this one today. Again, the setup looks very similar. I think you can kind of pick and choose a little bit with those names because there's few of them that look very, very similar in terms of the chart setup. So TTD actually did well today, finished up 80 basis points, but this name opened in the red today. MDB is another one. We can kind of look at a couple of these just in case you haven't had a chance to do that. But here's TTD. What I'm looking for is this to get through the top of value up to 252. I think that would be a mission accomplished trade, and that's how I structured my my call spread. But yeah, if you look at this MDB, this is a name that I've also been highlighting the last few days. Into support, 50-day moving average, bottom of value, and I would also be, looking at a trade up here. I threw on a small trade in this towards in the afternoon as well, so kind of just picking on some trades. Anything else to go over with today's performers? Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Why you didn't see IGV up with all these software names up is because IGV, which is the software ETF, has names like EA in it. Where did EA finish today? Just down slightly. It also has ATVI in it. ATVI was down 3.5% today. So these names stalled where at previous resistance. So down 3.5%. So that kind of balanced out that ETF. Option activity today. Let's talk about a few names that hit today. Some unusual stuff in here. This is Friday's. I have to check this order. This is versus ServiceNow was versus open interest. We're going to start to see a lot of rolling of positions. We're going to start to see a lot of names that you have to look to see when they report earnings because they could be doing some type of maneuvering or hedging or even speculating for earnings. You just don't know. It's much more noisy. This is an interesting name. It is in a downtrend ADS. There was some good volume in this name. Didn't catch. Finished lower on the day, down 1%. The option activity, which of course is sometimes how we see it. We saw option activity on the absolute high of the day. So again, it kind of just reminds you when you're playing these options, if you are following option activity a bit, you kind of just have to be very careful about either going all in, which I don't do, because you could often get in cheaper, right? So if you saw this trade go up, right in here, you could get into this trade a little bit cheaper. And again, video, of course, for information purposes only, not giving you any advice or recommendations. But yeah, an interesting name down here. This is Alliance Data System. We also saw some Target. I have to check to see if these were unwound. Excuse me. We saw a block of GDX that was actually did not go up against shares, so it looked like an outright bet. There was some a little bit of Shopify calls, but a lot of this stuff is just like we saw an upgrade. Excuse me, not an upgrade, but a positive analyst note. Same thing with Roku. Roku calls were busy today, but these are people day trading for the most part. I don't think there's really any big positioning other than somebody trying to catch the momentum for the day. Again, just my opinion. Croc saw a block of calls, 5,000 August 20s. And remember with how all these different option trades that I go over, you can't play every one of these obviously. So you only play the best hands that you think, and you have to be, in my opinion, super selective. We did see some dip call buying in some of the semis. WDC saw some calls. AMD saw some repeat action too. AMD was up on the new chip that they announced over the weekend. I think we talked about that towards the end of Friday's video. But this actually I think it went back to flat, and that's where the call buying. So a little bit better call buying, right? It was bid up all pre-market. I think throughout the day, multiple spots we saw calls go up in AMD. I think the chart looks, and I've been saying this for a while now, I think the chart looks fine in AMD. It seems to be one of the better looking names in the space. So, we also saw a little bit more Snap calls. Snap really didn't do much tomorrow. I would maybe keep an eye on that name tomorrow. Overstock, we saw some calls. I think Overstock finished on the highs. NVTA, it's amazing because just about a week ago, maybe even less, a lot of biotech names were hot, and then just a matter of 2 days, they completely gave back a lot of their gains. NVTA looks pretty interesting in here. It does look like it's putting a little bit of a congestion zone. I don't know if you would call that a bull flag, but maybe keep an eye on this name because there was some call buying into, I think, about midday today. All right, I think that's just about it. Yeah, a little bit of clack today too, but yeah, there was a little bit of dip buying in a couple of different names. Western Digital, if I didn't mention that one. Amazon saw some calls today too, so maybe some Prime Day. That's kind of why I'm positioned in that trade as well. I think maybe that's the last chart that we'll cover is Amazon, but I like what Amazon is doing here. It is above value, so as long as it stays above 1936, I think it looks pretty good and could rally into that Prime Day event. All right, guys, thanks for watching. So again, sometimes in trading, this is just how it works. You do get these choppy days. I just thought on a summer, on a Monday on a summer, it's just difficult for the market to kind of overcome. China being down big overnight, Europe was a little bit weak, and then just a whole bunch of broker downgrades that kind of kept the market pinned down a little bit today. But that's fine. It's only one day of the week. We'll see how we do tomorrow. Have a great night tomorrow. Have a great night tonight, and I'll see you guys in the trading room tomorrow.